You're watching Entertainment Focus, and I'm Emin, by the way.
So Emin, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Busy day, obviously, promoting the new
Busy day, we've
record.
done plenty of interviews, couple of days on the road, all around Britain, Manchester, Liverpool, so a lot of places, a lot of radio stations.
So have you been in London very long?
I've been here for 3 days already. This is my third day. Tomorrow we're doing This Morning, ITV, and then we're off to Moscow for a day, and then to Baku for Eurovision.
Wow, very busy.
Exciting, really exciting.
So your UK debut album came out last year.
Yes, Wonder.
With Wonder. You've got a new album coming out this month.
After the Thunder.
Tell us a bit about the record.
Well, it's been produced by Mr. Brian Rolling, who is absolutely incredible, and he's done my second album. We had some success with Wonder last year. The first single, Obvious, which I've co-written with Jamie Scott, became Record of the Week on Radio 2. Second single, Anytime You Fall, Wayne Hector, was Record of the Week again. And then the album came out and became Album of the Week. So for me, it was a pleasant surprise, is the least to say. I was blown away, and I'm so grateful for such a receival of my work here. So after that, we kind of set the mark, and the team, we kind of met up and said, listen, we can't release any crap after this. It has to be really good. So we kind of took our time, and in the past year and a half maybe, I've written, recorded over maybe 40, 50 songs roughly, and only 12 made the album. But it doesn't make the other ones terrible, it just makes the album really good, because we picked only the best stuff that with different lyrics, so nothing is about similar stories or similar tempos or keys. So it's very different, diversified album, and I think it's the best one I've done. This is my second international release, and this is my sixth in my career, sixth album.
So you've been pretty successful. I mean, like you're saying, it's your sixth record in your career so far. You're quite popular in your homeland of Russia. What's it like now, sort of going back to the beginning of opening up a new market with the UK?
Well, in the beginning it was weird, because to break an artist in Britain, so it was explained to me, takes at least an album with good songs and a showcase. And a showcase is like a fork in the road, where the industry comes to see you. You're performing for other people that are not really applauding in between songs, well, supposedly. So they really, hyped me up about being concerned with this showcase. And that was a year and a half ago. It was at the Savoy. Last year and a half ago was 2010 or 11. I'm confused. Anyway, not important. I think it was 2010. And we did the showcase. It went really well, and it seemed like we nailed it. And on the last song, the fire alarm went off. So it was a little weird to sing to a fire alarm in a newly built hotel. Give me one more night. And it was hilarious, but it was okay, and I actually got some applause in between songs. So, after we finished, the guy said it's just starting, and there's a long way to go. And then we had a hit song with Obvious, with my first single, and I can tell you, it's a great feeling to be able to come to Britain, drive in a cab and hear your own song. It's quite an accomplishment for me.
Baby Get High is your latest single, so do you want to talk us through how that came to be?
Baby Get Higher is an odd one, because it was pitched to me by Brian Rolling last minute, when the album was pretty much completed. And he said, Emin, you've been writing with Mark Reed and Ben Adams for quite some time now, and we did a couple of songs together. And there's one song they've written a while ago, and it hasn't been out here. So, well, have a listen. And I listened to the song, I'm like, I'm gonna have to drop one of my own now. I really like this. And so the same day we laid my vocal in it, and I think it just brilliantly works. It works with my vocal. I like the lyrics. The tempo is right. It almost reminds me of, it's like a ray of sunshine when you listen to it. There's something so positive about the song that even doing it live, it's such an upbeat song, yet it's not a typical dance track. It's something in between. I like that. I think it's different.
You've got a lot of projects. Obviously, you're a very successful businessman outside of music. What's the draw to being a recording artist for you?
It's been a lifetime passion for me and a dream. And you know, as a kid, you look at people that draw your admiration. And in my case, it was Elvis Presley. And then it was Muslim Magamayev, who was a big singer in my home country. He's deceased now. He's the biggest singer he was the biggest singer in the Soviet era, equivalent of Frank Sinatra or Mario Lanza. The world hasn't found out about him because of the Soviet umbrella, and kind of you couldn't freely perform worldwide. And it seemed like when I reached the age of 15, I realized that that something that really strikes me as amazing is a singer with an audience on stage, and there's something really cool about it. And I started singing and writing, and my first band was a covers band in New Jersey, and I was performing Elvis's covers, which was hilarious, I guess, at the time. But that came a long way for me, and 10 years later I released my first album, and I just decided that whatever I do in my life, whether it's business, family, music is something that completely takes me to a different, state of mind. I don't consider this work. I'm so happy, recording or writing or spending any free time I have on my music, improving it, making it better, trying to write the song, the one. And it's a lifetime journey. I don't think I'll ever drop it, hopefully. I'll never lose interest. And I plan to continue doing this as much as I can.
So is it important for you to have a lot of input into your music in regards to writing?
It is.
Yeah.
It is, because ideally I want the entire album to consist of my own songs.
Yeah.
But I'm fair in choosing them, along with my team and Brian Rolling. If a song is proposed to me, and objectively I listen to it and it sounds better to me than the one I've written, I'll drop my own. Although sometimes it's not an obvious choice. But even the ones I drop, I still do them live when my management is not around, and the audience seem to like it. And I think you have to be objective and fair, because in the end of the day, people that listen to your album, they don't really pick. At least I don't think they pick through. So this is written by Emin. Oh, this is not written by Emin. I'm not going to listen to it. I mean, they listen to the album. If the song is good, it doesn't matter who wrote it.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm double happy if I'm the writer.
So you've worked with a lot of very talented people in the industry. Is there anyone that you would like to collaborate with in the future?
Definitely. I've through Brian Rolling, through his camp, I was introduced to amazing writers. One of them is, of course, legendary Paul Barry, who's written Bailamos, the hit for Enrique, Hero, also for him, and Believe for Cher, and many tracks with James Morrison. And Jamie Scott, who is fantastic. My debut single, Obvious, was a co-write with Jamie. Then there's Ben Adams and Mark Reed. There's Rob Davis, that has written the biggest hit that Kylie Minogue had, Can't Get You Out of My Head. And I mean, these guys, you write with them, they're not only super talented, they're pros in writing. But in the end of the day, there's no guarantees that you will end up with a good song at the end of the day. It has to be an honest song, otherwise Brian will scrap it, and we know it. We all know it. You cannot, bullshit your way through with him. And the song has to be honest. It has to have emotion. It has to have a story. It can't be about blue sky and the birds and the sunshine. It has to mean something. And I think today a competitive song really needs to be like that. And I think that's why I click with the guys so much, is because we'll sit and argue about the lyrics. This doesn't make sense. This is taking us in the wrong direction. This is confusing. Well, after the chorus you said this, and on the verse you're trying to say no, it's not working. And I mean, it's a constant argument, but we do end up with a finished song in the end of each session, in the end of each day. And for this album, I ended up with 40 or 50 songs, and it's hard to pick them. But I hope some of them will be used in future projects. Perhaps we have some plans for films. Some of them, for example, a song "Never Enough" was initially pitched to me. It's written by again Mark Reed and Ben Adams from A1, and it was pitched to me for the album Wonder, and it never made the album because it didn't have a proper chorus. And 2 years later, I'm singing this at Eurovision, which is in a week. So some songs do return to you somehow, and I think there's a right time, right moment for a good song that perhaps has been shelved for some time.
So let's talk about your live performances, because you've just mentioned Eurovision. You're going to be performing there in a week. How do you prepare for something like that? Because it's a very big audience.
Do
you get nervous?
You do. I think if you don't get nervous, then you can't give a good show, because you have to be anticipating it, and part of it is being nervous. But it's the right kind of nervous. It's not scared nervous. It's more like excited nervous, which is, I think, the cooler way to be nervous. And I don't know. To tell you the truth, I've never performed in front of 300 million people before, so this is going to be a first for me.
Be an experience.
So it's an experience that I guess 10 days. In 10 days, I'll be able to tell you exactly what it feels like. But so far, my biggest live performance was 2 weeks ago, and it was in Baku. I performed in front of 80,000 people. It was a free concert to support Eurovision, and we expected 5, 10, 8 maybe, but we never expected 80,000 people to show up. And down to second or third song, they were cheering my name, and it was the coolest experience of my life. And after you experience something like this, it gives you a complete different scale of understanding of how important it to be for you to be fully prepared, perfect vocal, great band, good sound, because you are privileged to perform in front of a lot of people. So you cannot take that privilege for granted, and you have to live up to what people came to see. And the further you go, the harder it is to live up to the image you create around yourself. And I think it's a challenge that I'm yet to experience after Eurovision.
So what are UK audiences like in comparison to your Russian fans?
Well, I can't say that I had many gigs here. The big gig I had was a little bit under a year ago. It was a place called Under the Bridge at Chelsea, and it was my first proper ticket concert here in London. I can tell you that I'm quite new here and a little bit unknown at the moment, so it wasn't a full sellout "Emin, I love you" kind of gig. So it's a conservative type of show. So, but you have to be prepared for any audience. Of course, it's easier to sing to the people that absolutely adore you, and they're reaching out to you, and there's many of them back at home, and then you come here and it's quite different. But it's a building process. I've been there in Russia 5-7 years ago, and I've been there in Azerbaijan 4 or 5 years ago. So I mean, it's time for UK, and I think any new market has to learn to like you if you're good enough to be liked. So I'm hoping that I am, and I'm hoping that I could be even better in the future, and hopefully in a couple of years I could have a bigger gig here. We plan a tour in Europe, and not only in Britain. So in other countries, European countries, are yet to see my show.
So to help sell your shows over here in the UK, what's the biggest draw, do you think, to an Emin performance?
Well, I think there are two big components that are important for me personally, and not only in my show, in any show I go to see of other acts. It's important that the material is good, the songs are honest. It's one component that a person who is potentially going to see a show can listen to you on YouTube or cloud, or download your music or buy your album. And then you have to live up to the idea that you create after a person listen to your songs for the first time, once he's at the show or she's at the show. So the show has to be an honest performance. It's not an act. I don't dance on stage. I don't do anything rehearsed. It is a show. I like to talk to my audience. I like to joke around, do weird stuff, and I think that's what makes it different every time. And every show is different. We juggle around the songs, and it's all live, so there are mistakes made by musicians, by myself, and it's kind of like, I admire Elvis very much, and I watch his shows, and the cool thing about them was always that really touched me is the fact that he used to fool around on stage a lot, and it was part of his character. And I think that, you know, I have that resemblance just a little bit, that I also like to fool around, not just on stage, but just in my life, you know, do funny stuff. And when you do it on stage, you get the reaction, and I think it's pretty exciting.
So you got Eurovision coming up, you got the release of the album coming up, the single's doing pretty well on radio at the moment. What's next for 2012? What other projects have you got planned?
Well, there are more singles, there are more shows, there are more television, more radio. I guess in short, it's all the work that you do to promote your music, and I guess as the amount of listeners, potential listeners, is growing in my case, I'm ready to work really hard to expose my music to as many people as I can. So, you know, it's Russia is all good for me now. My home country Azerbaijan is also very good for me. I live in Moscow now, partially, and in London, of course. And my kids go to school here, and the next is Europe, and then there's the United States, and there's a long way to go. So, you know, I've had some success. You know, if you it's all in relative terms. If you think of the success I had in my home country, I'm a superstar there, but I'm a nobody in many countries. So, you know, to implement that, there's still a long way to go.
Full schedule ahead then.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I hope you do very well with the album
Thank you.
and the shows.
Thank you.
Thank you.